I went to one of the best schools in the country and I hated it. Yeah. So before I get into this video, just want to say, don't watch the finger. I cut it earlier. And this chair, need to fix it. But I thought I'd break down my honest experience going to a grammar school because a lot of people are not too familiar with what a grammar school actually is and how it can shape you as a person. And I was lucky enough to go to a normal state school for 2 years and then a grammar school for 3 years and then back to the state school for sixth form college, which is basically for people of the ages of 16 to 18. Yeah. So for those of you guys that don't know, what a grammar school is, a grammar school is not the same as a private school. Okay. Oftentimes people think that a grammar school is like something you have to pay for, and there's snobby people there. That is far from the truth. Okay. Private schools you have to pay for. Grammar schools you just have to do an exam to get in. AKA you literally just have to be smart. And a state school is just a normal school basically. Yeah. Now with private schools, I'm pretty sure you have to take an exam for that as well. But yes, I say pretty sure. No, I know you have to take an exam for that as well. But grammar schools is purely just intelligence basically. Yeah. So that's why some people like grammar schools over private schools, because there's no you don't really get snobby people like that. You just have to be smart. Now, when I was in year 5, I tried the 11 plus exam, which is the exam you take to get into grammar schools, and I for some reason started getting tuition late. I don't know why my uncle, who's actually a tutor, we didn't start any sooner, but I started a little bit late from what I can remember. And long story short, it came to the time for me to do the exam for all 3 of the main schools in my area, and I failed every single one of them. I failed all 3 exams, and yeah, that was it. And I just went to a normal school. Now, after having that practice of going to like practicing for the 11 plus, when you fail you still retain all that information. So if you're not like, if you miss the mark of going to grammar school, what happens is you usually go to a state school, but you're just hella smart because you did so much practice but you didn't get in, so you missed it just by a little bit. So when I went to a normal state school for year 7 and year 8, I was not the cocky one, but I was one of the smartest. I was in set 1 for maths, English, science, Spanish and French. The 5 things I could have been in set 1 for, or the 5 classes that we had sets for, I was in set 1 for everything. So it was an interesting experience because the school that I went to is in a pretty white area and I was the only Asian person in my class. Okay, this was this might show my age a little bit, but I was in year 7 in 2012. Okay, so when I was in year 7, I was the only Asian person in my class, and in the whole year there were probably about 10 max, I'd say. And it was an interesting experience because some people, when they're in a situation like that, they can feel a lot of racism. And despite, like, there was racist like vibes and energy because there was a lot of people who weren't used to seeing an Asian person, I still had a decent experience at the school. It wasn't the worst, it wasn't the best, and yeah, flipping, I was the only brown person. And I remember when I was in class, I used to get told off quite a bit. And one of the jokes I used to always say, it wasn't that funny, but a lot of the white people, they used to just love the joke so much. And I've said this before in my old YouTube videos on my main channel. Subscribe to that, by the way, ZEEE boy. But I used to always say, like, if I got told off, I used to say to the teacher, like, "Oh, miss, what is it? Is it because I'm brown?" And all the kids would be like, "Oh, you're so funny, mate. You're so funny because he's brown. You get it?" And yeah, they used to love that joke. And I'm mentioning that for a reason because when I got into grammar school, the complete opposite happened, and it was mind opening for me. But anyways, so before the grammar school, I was in this normal school for year 7 and year 8, and it was a bit of a juxtaposition, but I basically had one of the most behavior points in my year group. Sorry, I think in my house. So the school split up into 4 different houses. I had one of the most behavior points in the house, which basically meant I was one of the naughtiest because I must have just been talking a lot or whatever. But I also, was one of the smartest. So they never got too annoyed at me because I remember there was like a gifted and talented, was it called gifted and talented? I can't remember, but there was like a school trip that if you were like basically really smart, you got to go to. I remember getting the chance to go to that as well. So it was a bit of a weird scenario, but yeah, I did used to get told off quite a bit. And yeah, so during this time, those schools that I tried for, none of them had a 13 plus exam. A 13 plus exam is a second chance to get in at year 9, okay? Now, only one of those schools had a 13 plus exam, and I was revising the whole time in year 7 and year 8 to get back in at the 13 plus. And what happened was, I revised and I got in. Like, I actually got in. This was like the biggest accomplishment for me before, at that age, because getting in was crazy. I mean, how the hell did you get in? It's a very rare thing to do. Like, if you go to grammar school, you might take it for granted that you went, but a lot of people in the country, or at least a lot of people trying to get into these schools, they really want to go. You know, when you go to these 11 plus exam days, you see bare kids, bare Asians, yeah, lining up to get into the school, and only a certain amount to get in. So to get in is actually a big thing, and it's not something to be taken lightly. Not just to big myself up, but to big yourself up if you went, or just to deep the levels. Yeah, so I actually got in. So year 7, year 8, I did the 2 years and I was off to a grammar school. Now I was actually quite excited. I was like, oh snap, this is crazy. I was going from a mixed school. To a boys' school. The sixth one was mixed, but yeah, it was a different environment. So I remember going and there was just only Asians in this school. Literally only Asians. And when I was in my form, I remember there was about like 6 white people. Yeah, everyone else Asian. Predominantly Sri Lankans. Yeah, big up all the Sri Lankans, but mostly Sri Lankans, Pakistanis, Indians, but yeah, mostly Tamil, Sri Lankans. And I remember in form one time, some boy behind me, he got told off for talking. And obviously he's a white guy. And I was just chilling and I just heard the guy behind me say, "What, sir? Is it because I'm white?" I heard that. I was like, "What? Is it because I'm white?" Like, bro, that's how I know I'm in a new territory right now, because that was my joke I used to bang and he just said the reverse. That's how I knew I was in a different environment. Now, grammar schools for the whole, they are pretty cool. I hated it. I'm gonna be straight up. I actually really, really disliked it. The reason I disliked it is because I went from going to a normal school to a grammar school. Now, when I was in set 1 for everything in a normal school, it was alright. But when I got into the grammar school, I was put into set 2 for maths. Okay, so there was 5 sets. So set 2 in a grammar school is still a mad thing. Yeah, that is still actually pretty crazy. But slowly, after like 3 or 4 months, I got demoted to set 3, then to set 4, and I stayed there for the rest of my time. Now, to go to the set 5 in a grammar school is basically look, set 1's like here. If you're a grammar school and you're set 1, you're mad intelligent, and if you're set 5, then you're still mad intelligent. Set 5 is kind of equivalent to set 1 in like a normal school. Obviously, you could be really smart in a normal school, smarter than grammar school kids, but in general, just because someone says they're in set 5 in a grammar school, this might be me just coping, but yeah, just because you're in set 5 in a grammar school doesn't necessarily mean you are dumb. And if you got into grammar school, you're smart in the first place. So I was in set 4, and yeah, I just did not like the experience. Grammar schools, the one that I went to, very limiting, I would say, in terms of if you are a little bit of a nerd and you like doing nerdy things, then it is the place for you, I would say. If you're more like, if you're creative and you like to, yeah, I don't know how to describe this, but if you're more of a creative person and you don't like always conforming to the rules, not in like a bad way, but just more creative in general, you don't want to go down the same route, let's just say 9 to 5 route or corporate route, then it's not really for you. I remember like, there's so many things going through my mind right now. I'm just trying to think of like the best things I can bring up about my experience. But I remember like during lunchtime, we weren't allowed to play football during break and lunch. Like we were not allowed to play football. In my old school, we would play football every single break and lunchtime. And then when I came to the grammar school, we had really nice rugby pitch, 2 nice rugby pitches which you could play football on. And we used to say like, why can't we just play football during break and lunch? And we just weren't allowed because apparently we'd be ruining the grass for the rugby players apparently. But I just found that to be a bit of a poor excuse, because how can you have a bunch of boys, teenage boys, who want to, you know, get active and all of that kind of jazz, not be allowed to play football? We used to like get a tennis ball and play like one touch against the wall, and even then it was not the same. We used to get the ball confiscated as well, a tennis ball. And I remember saying to the teacher, like, "Sir, like, you're telling us that we can't play football, what can we do?" And they used to have so many societies, like chess society and Yu-Gi-Oh society. That was a real thing. And he said to me, "No, go to a society, go to economic society, go to debate society." I'm like, bruv, I don't want to go to no, bro. We have lessons, period 1, period 2. When it comes to my break time, I don't want to be educated again. I want to just chill. And yeah, I just used to hate it so much. And I remember another thing as well, like one of my first few days I was at the grammar school, I heard and saw a boy who was carrying a suitcase as his rucksack. No rucksack, a suitcase. And when I saw that, I was like, damn, this is just different to what I'm used to. But that being said, even though it was funny at the time, that same scenario, that boy that I was holding the suitcase, from what I can remember, ended up going to Harvard University. Yeah, so big up to him. But yeah, in any other school, you get bullied for carrying a suitcase. That's the point I wanted to make. So you get people like that at a grammar school. Now, yeah, I got excluded a lot of times. As you can tell, I'm not really a typical grammar school kind of student. I don't know if a lot of people would have, you know, clocked that I actually did go to grammar school. I did only go for 3 years, but yeah, most of the people there are a bit more nerdy, I guess. It's a grammar school at the end of the day. Do you know what I mean? So yeah. So grammar schools. During year 11, I wanted to, another thing, so during year 11, the big goal of a lot of these grammar schools, especially my grammar school, is to get the grades to get back into the sixth form. Now, during sixth form, I wanted to do like creative studies, as in like I wanted to do business stuff. Business, I wouldn't necessarily say it's creative, but I didn't want to do core subjects because these schools, they mainly offer core subjects, maths, English, science, all of that stuff, and I wanted to do business. And I remember like telling everyone, let's try and get a petition going so we can get business as a level, but they weren't basically having it. And I didn't like the school so much. I said to everyone, listen, I know the whole goal is to get the grades to get back in, but I wanted to get the grades and then still leave. Yeah, I did not want to stay there for sixth form. After 11, I was like, bro, I'm out of here. People were wearing suits and stuff for sixth form. I didn't want to do that. Other schools, they got to wear their own clothes. Now, going to grammar school, it does look pretty sick on your CV, like, oh, I went to grammar school. But if you just think about this for a second, yeah, let's say you do want to get a job somewhere on a 9 to 5 one, yeah. Let's say you got two people. One's got all A stars or all nines. I said A stars, all nines, and the other guy's got all nines. But one went to a grammar school and one didn't. What looks more impressive, low key? Because in my opinion, I'd say going to a non-grammar school and still getting all nines is mad. It's crazy. So a lot of people will say, "Oh, grammar schools are good because it looks good in your CV." Well, it all depends on like what you do. And there are opportunities that these schools do offer. Like a lot of the boys from my school had the chance to be Wimbledon ball boys, which is mad. A lot of them like are still connected to that industry as well. So there are cool things that you wouldn't get a chance to do in these other schools. And another thing I'd say is the community and culture in these grammar schools are very like tight knit because they all see each other like a bit of a family. But my other school that was like wasn't really like that. So that was one thing I did like. So I did like the people, but the teachers and everything, I just wasn't a big fan because the thing is they can get away with having subpar teaching, but because all of the students are literal nerds anyways, they will do the work at home anyways. So if they go to class and the teaching isn't great, then like it didn't really matter because the nerd would just go home and start revising regardless to be on CGP and whatever they needed to do, and they just be, you know, doing what they needed to do. So that's one thing I didn't really like. There were so many times where we'd have like cover teachers, and they'd be like people you can tell they could barely speak English and they didn't know the subject at all and they couldn't really control a class. And so many times I used to be thinking to myself, I remember there was like 1 year, there was actually 1 year where I didn't even have a biology teacher or a physics teacher. We didn't have a proper physics teacher. We just had a cover teacher for the whole year. It was, bro, thinking about it now, it's crazy. And these kind of things, they don't like people talking about because it makes the grammar school look bad. But yeah, the school was broke as hell as well. I remember that. School was so poor. It was so poor. And in my old school, I remember one time we wanted to get a new minibus. So we did like a big charity event where I think everyone had to, like students had the chance to go and get people to donate to them for like a charity walk or whatever. And I had the idea that like whoever gets the most people to sign up and donate would get like a prize in their form. And we ended up getting a new minivan or a minibus at the old school. So I was thinking to myself, we could do something like that for the grammar school, because the grammar school was just so broke and we never, you know, did anything like that. I remember I wanted to be like, sorry, forgive me, man. My throat is moving mad right now. I don't want to do any edits as well. So if you guys are still here right now, I appreciate you. But yeah, I remember just proposing we do little things to raise money and stuff here and there. It wasn't massive, but yeah, they just were never up for it as well. And I could say a million things about my experience at grammar school, but I'm trying to keep it a bit light. I could probably do like a part 2 about how like, the nitty gritty of what happened. Like I remember getting excluded for selling shisha pens when I first came as well, which is such a flipping freshy Asian thing to do. But yeah, what I would say though, because I was talking about something, but I've just kind of lost track of what I was saying. But what I would say though is when it comes to grammar schools, yeah, sorry, I wanted to get the grades. Sorry, bro, I'm actually a bit of a mess right now. Forgive me. I wanted to get the grades to get back. I'm waffling so hard. I didn't want to get the grades. Bro, what am I talking about? I wanted to get the grades and still leave. That's what I wanted to do. Sorry, forgive me. I wanted the grades, and then I still wanted to leave, so no one could say to me, "Oh, you just got kicked out." No, I got the grades and decided to leave after 11. Now, what happened was I was expecting to get A's and all of that stuff, and then I filmed my results day. On results day, I filmed my reaction with my friends, and when I opened my results, I didn't see a single A on my exam paper, like on my results. I didn't see a single A, and my mouth was shocked. Bear in mind, my sister, she got 7 A stars, 6 A's. Yeah, she's older than me. My uncle's a tutor. I didn't get a single A. Now, it's not that deep, but if you go to grammar school and don't get a single A, bro, what were you doing at the grammar school the whole time? Yeah, obviously, I was just chilling. I thought that if you go to grammar school, naturally, you're just going to be smart. And you are smart, because what I got wasn't crazy bad grades, but it's like I just got relaxed. I thought the grades, the A stars, they would naturally come, which they didn't. And my mouth was shocked. I was gobsmacked when I didn't get any A's. So I went back to the old school, which I was at for year 7 and 8. And then that A level, that GCSE results day video, the reaction video, actually ended up getting about 100,000 views on YouTube, and that kickstarted my YouTube career, which brought me to where we are now. So I'm always glad that that happened. And yeah, the sixth form experience after that was pretty lit, because that's when I started doing YouTube. And when I went to that sixth form, I was there in year 7 and 8 as just like a little boy. And when I came back like a little bit of a mini celebrity, because I had about 6,000 subscribers at one point, and all the kids used to know me. They used to be like, "Yo, can I get your autograph? Can I get your signature?" It was just quite funny. And in sixth form, like, everyone knew, "Oh, that's Z-Boy, he does the videos and whatnot." And that was a crazy year for me as well. That was like 2018. Started doing music video parodies as well. Anyways, besides the point, I'm going off on a bit of a tangent. But yeah, that was just a little bit of a breakdown of what it's like to go to a grammar school, what my honest experience was like in a grammar school. And yeah, I would just say, would I recommend it? I think it's pretty cool if you want to go down that academic route, etc. But you don't need to go to a grammar school to do amazing, because regardless, you're gonna have to put in the work after hours anyways. You're gonna have to be doing exam practice, all of this kind of stuff. And for me personally, I guess this could be another video as well, but some people discuss, like, would you rather send your kid to a grammar school or a private school or a normal state school? And each school has their different perks. And I would low-key, I wasn't thinking about this before, but recently I was thinking that a private school, like, I wouldn't mind sending my kid to a private school, because I'm so big on networking and who you know. And if you go to a school and your sons or your child's friends, parents are like business owners, and it's just very important to have networks and connects like that. That's how you get far in life. Like, have value, provide value, do something which is very useful in this world, and then know the right people who need those skills. It's a lot more beneficial. So everything I do as a career basically has absolutely no link to me having gone to a grammar school. Nothing to do with my my grammar school what do you call it, accolades. Like, the fact that I went to grammar school, no one cares. It's all creative, it's all experience, it's all, "Oh, you did 2-3 years doing this, like social media, okay, we want you because of that." It's never been because I went to a grammar school. So if you want to go down the corporate route, then cool, it opens doors for you. But if you don't care about that, then yeah. But anyways, that's my honest grammar school experience. I think I'm a bit ill, yeah, so please forgive me. I've chefed myself with my finger. My throat's sounding mad, but yeah. Anyways, appreciate you guys for sticking with me today, and see you in the next upload.